Now, episodes such as this latest Tsukimichi episode are easy to mess up and have them be pretty boring, like nothing happened. But leave it to Tsukimichi to make an exhilarating episode with some high-stakes adventures. That training basically seemed like torture, but shit, Tomoe, she got the job done improving those skill sets. You have funniness, you have just kind of world building and setup with the market trading, and even end with a pretty fun cliffhanger, wondering what's going to happen with those two watching our characters. Tsukimichi is some of the most exciting isekai that this year has to offer, and I think those who want constantly something fun happening are always going to have that. Simply look at and break down what this episode boils down to. It's essentially, we have Makoto and the crew trying to observe and figure out where the power levels and skill sets of all the monsters inhabiting the demiplane are at. And then the second half of the episode is we have Tomoe pretty much training a group of people with probably some pretty good experience under their belt and a good path to being strong, but they are not ready for what Tomoe tasks them at, but with proper guidance, what she says in this episode, level is just a number, you're clearly strong enough for this, don't let, the rules of the world dictate what you should or should not do. And honestly, at face value, that doesn't seem interesting, and I think a lot of times, what fails to happen is you have a lot of boring shots, you have those characters standing around talking, and maybe that's just not interesting enough given what they're saying. Now, I typically like that type of content, but I get where some people come from. But a show like Tsukimichi, colorful, vibrant, constantly having goofy faces, constantly having explosive action, and usually some pretty damn good jokes, this episode seems just as exhilarating as anything yet. I love the first bit, seeing our crew pretty much like observing how people are feeling about the leadership and training, and it kind of boils down to everyone loves Makoto, but they hate training with him, because unlike someone like Mio and Tomoe, they will at the very least let them get hits on if they prove like they're good enough, even if it doesn't do damage, where Makoto just blasts them like a nuclear bomb. So what do you do to figure out where their strength is if your three most powerful people are in a skill set and world of their own? Well, you make a tournament where you task them at fighting each other, because apparently communication in this plane is not good, because they come from different walks of life, they're different species. While they don't hate each other, they also don't trust each other with revealing their skill sets, because, well, for obvious reasons, right? And I like that there is that kind of like pushback against revealing your secrets. The way they detail the fight, and the way they just show two very clearly powerful creatures go all out, but that's still not even close to being 10% of what Tomoe, Mio, Makoto want to see. Even if it's harsh, it is the truth. But they very much don't want to continue doing that because that would reveal their tactics and secrets. But I like the way they get them to accept it, because I think this could have been a moment that could have been everyone trusted a little too easily and there was no build-up. But the fact of the matter is, what they just saw is not even close enough to be worried about hiding your secrets. It's not skillful, it's not powerful enough that you need to worry about revealing your trump card here, because that shit ain't even 10% of what we want to see. But as Makoto says, there's potential, and this is what you need to do. Fight each other, improve your skill set, you'll find out what weaknesses you have fighting these different opponents, and soon enough, their army will be strong enough, and I think a level of trust will also be built. That's the type of stuff you want to see, right? Because I truly thought they're just going to go with the flow, because if Makoto says it, they'll agree with it. But there was that kind of like, they tried to push back, even if they were shitting their pants at certain points. And I'd love to see that type of stuff. And as good as that stuff was, the second half was without doubt my favorite, because Tomoe, and just, like, what she's recognizing, like, acknowledging that clearly this one character must remind Makoto as someone from his past, so we need to make sure they're skillful, and, like, he's not going to be distracted by them. And, I mean, you start off with just really funny sequences, and I thought that's all it was going to be, like, kind of like that joke gag of, oh, they're climbing up a mountain with literally boulders tied on ropes, like, how did the rope even hold? Don't know. How are they holding? Are they Spider-Man? Who the hell knows? Infested water. Like, there's so many different funny goofs, but then it builds into something that's actually meaningful and full of substance. And I don't remember the last time I saw an isekai with, like, leveling systems acknowledge that the levels actually don't mean all that much, which is funny because Tomoe is obsessed with beating Mio's level, but she also has this mindset that these adventurers shouldn't give a shit about the levels, they should give a shit about their skills. And it's kind of funny, it's a little ironic, but I mean, leave it to Tomoe, right? But I mean, when she kind of gets caught up in her own head, it's understandable why she's a little foolish. But the idea of going up against these monkeys, right? Like, when they were fighting them, I was like, they clearly aren't ready. And like, yeah, it's nice to say that the levels don't matter, but when you're seeing them get obliterated, how the hell are they supposed to do it? And the way she simply breaks down a technique that they can do at their skill set, it puts them in an advantage that I think most adventurers probably don't recognize, because they're clearly bred in a world where you see, you're level 1, don't fight level 5. You're level 20, you can fight level 15, right? It's just a simple mindset that video game systems and everything typically use, and you can only go past your threshold and what you should fight only so much. Clearly, one monkey is supposed to be more than a party like them can handle. But when you do simple things like, okay, your healer has no mana to attack because he's constantly healing you dumbasses because you're reckless. So rather, have him support where needed, but using combat magic in intelligent ways, like making a moat of basically mud, having poison in that mud, so then the monkeys are wounded. You can then use your archer, you can use your dwarven attacks. Okay, but like, what am I supposed to do when they break free? Well, you don't need attack magic that covers their whole body. Drown them with a water bubble around their face. Like, there's some really intelligent mechanics at play, and they made me say, wow, this doesn't discredit the world's mechanics, which easily could have happened, meaning, like Tomoe comes in saying levels don't matter and they just easily one-shot it because they believe in the power of themselves. No, it's, yeah, on a physical level, you are clearly outmatched, but together, and if you're careful, and if you think on the fly, you can do things and be quicker and be smarter than those more powerful characters. You just have to buy your time and be intelligent about it. So that's what I love about this show, is that there's so much meat and substance. The meat and potatoes are always there, but then they give you these side dishes. They give you the dessert, and they say have your fill and consume what you want. If you're in it just for the funny scenes, it's always a funny show. Like, it's rarely not funny in some way with either a visual or what characters say. If you're in it for the action, there's almost always action in some way, or at least a character getting punched in the face, Looney Tunes style, and go off blasting like Team Rocket. And if you're in it for the details about the world and the mechanics and how the characters progress, with story hooks like the trading company, recognizing that, you know, as long as Makoto doesn't step on this dude's toes and impose on his profits, Makoto probably won't be assassinated. So him going to a town and a village and a country where there isn't a trading company established probably will work out, but you still need to be cautious. There's all these different bells and whistles, and seriously, Tsukimichi, 8 episodes in, 2 months into the show, it is not letting up, and it needs a season 2. If there's been a more deserving isekai, in terms of like that classic formula, hero goes to a world, but then you get almost like Konosuba screwed over with all these different elements at play. It's refreshing, it's different, and one of the most deserving series for a second season I've seen in quite a long time. This was a golden episode, excited for more. Wednesdays are always a treat watching Tsukimichi and Dragon Maid. Probably my favorite day of the week if I'm being honest. That midweek boost to get you forward, keep going, and it's so damn good. Let me know your thoughts and feelings though down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.